Hi everybody. Well, I'm back again today to talk to you about just a little bit of a thought-provoking video here. Do you remember certain things through the years? And I've got a list of about 24 things that came to my mind to talk about, and see if you remember these items. If you have a few to add, just let me know in the comments below, okay? But let's get started on my list. The first one is rotary telephones. It wasn't that long ago, really, but I'm sure there are some people out there that when they hear rotary phone, they think, what? Rotary? And they don't know anything about rotary or touch tone or party lines. Do you remember party lines? I do remember living somewhere once when I was growing up. I think I was a teenager, and we had a party line. It wasn't a very big one. It did have several people on it, like 4 or 5. And it was hard to get the line. It really was difficult. And I wasn't on the phone that much either as a teenager. But anyway, I do remember party lines. How about putting playing cards on your bicycle spokes? You'd put them on with a clothespin. You'd fold the card over on the spoke of the wheel and pin it on with a clothespin. And then you'd go riding around on your bike and it'd make that little flapping sound. It was cool, man. But I remember that. I did it. Yeah, it sounded good. How about princess telephones? Yeah, I worked for the phone company way back when that phone was popular, and I did have a princess telephone. Not a pink one. I had a blue one, a very pretty blue one, and I liked it a lot. My princess telephone was rotary dial also, a lighted rotary dial. How do I remember these things? But it was. Okay. And speaking of phones, does anybody out there remember pay phones? With the 5 cent, 10 cent, 25 cent slots. I do remember those, and I remember using them, and I remember putting my coins in, and I remember being a telephone operator way back when people used the telephones, the pay phones, and put their money in, and the little sound that the coins made as they went down, only to the operator, not to the person using the phone. We knew what type of coins were going in by the sound. It was amazing. Yeah. Well, everybody has a cell phone now. They don't need pay phones. That's what they use. How about hula hoops? Yeah, that would have been that would have been a big rage back in the late 50s, early 60s for sure. And yes, I had one, maybe a couple. Every kid that I played around with, everybody in my neighborhood had a hula hoop or 2 or 3. Yeah, it was a sport, kind of. And then how about when you get into music, 8-track, cassette tapes, or what we used to call LPs, and now they call them vinyl records. Yeah, I have my long playing records that I've recently bought because we have the record player. But I do have a few cassettes, but I don't have anywhere to really play them except in the car. And some cars don't even come with a cassette player anymore. But anyway, those are becoming obsolete. Do you remember milkman deliveries? I do. When we first, let's see, what was I? Maybe I was in 6th grade, so preteen. I was just preteen. And my family moved from Kansas to Minnesota. And in the neighborhood where we lived, somebody recommended to my mother that she should have a milk delivery man. There was a very nice milkman in the area, and so my mother set up delivery. That was really handy. But I do remember the milkman delivering, not in bottles. We didn't have bottles. The milk came in cartons then, but we did have a milkman delivering. And how about the Double Mint twins on TV commercials? Anybody remember them? It was the double your pleasure, double your fun, how did it go? Double your pleasure, double your fun with double mint gum. Of course they sang it, but I'm not going to sing, okay? But yes, I remember the girls. And I do remember when my family got its first color TV. It was like, woohoo! It wasn't really good color. Not like we have now, but do they even make black and white TVs anymore? I don't know. But I do remember black and white TVs. I remember when we first got our very first color TV, and the remote dial that it had on it, I guess you call it digital, really, really advanced, very advanced. Brought back a memory. My dad and my older brother had a habit of laying on the floor to watch TV at night. And they were both very tall, long-legged guys. And if they wanted to, change the channel on the TV, well, you didn't have remotes that you held in your hand at all back then, but it was a digital channel changer on the TV. So whoever was laying in front of the TV at the time, they would stretch their leg up and with their toes change the TV channel that way with the digital dial. Okay, yeah, that happened at my house. I'm sure people that had the same type of TV at their home, something similar probably happened too. But that was my dad and my older brother. Okay, now, who all out there remembers the very first viewing of Elvis on the Ed Sullivan Show on TV? I can't say I do, but I remember other times he showed up on that show, and the screaming audience, and Ed Sullivan losing control, and it seems to me, I do remember that for the first few showings maybe, they blacked out Elvis's hip area, because he used to move his hips, he used to gyrate quite a bit, and they would black that out, censor it out from the viewing audience, so on TV. But anyway, yeah, I don't remember watching the very initial viewing of Elvis, but subsequent shows I had seen him. And Topo Gigio, oh, that was a favorite of mine. The Little Mouse, I think maybe they were from Italy, I'm not sure. But Topo Gigio, yeah. And another one on Ed Sullivan, I do remember seeing them initially there, was the Beatles. You bet. The Beatles were hot. They were my top favorite back at that time, and I do remember watching them the very first time they were shown on the Ed Sullivan Show, and any time else that they showed up there, anytime they showed up on TV, period, I watched it. I was a true Beatles fan, and I still am a Beatles fan too. Another thing that I do remember vaguely, because we didn't have it for long in our household, and this was back in Kansas, I remember my mother having a wringer washer. And I don't remember a dryer in the house, but we did have a clothesline. And this was when we lived in Kansas, and my mother had a small, it was very small, like a closet space off the kitchen that she used as her washroom, and that's where the wringer washer sat. Davy Crockett hats. Anybody out there have those? I did not, but I do remember them. Yes, Davy Crockett was a big hit TV-wise in that when I was growing up. Yeah, Davy Crockett hats, the raccoon hat. I remember it. Moccasins, if you could find them. Yeah. Now, one thing that I always wanted, I don't even remember what they really looked like, except they were very pretty model type dolls. They were called Revlon dolls. I probably was around 10. And for Christmas that year, I wanted a Revlon doll so bad. I asked my mom and dad for it. I do remember that. I said, I want a Revlon doll. And my neighbor friend did get a Revlon doll for Christmas. I did get a doll, but it wasn't a Revlon. I got another model type of doll. And it was probably maybe even twice the size of a Revlon doll, but it was definitely a model. Her hair was dark and it was up and curly. She had pearl dangly earrings. She was wearing kind of like a silk type outfit, and it was slacks actually at that time. And she had high heels on with little nylons, real little nylons. On her hand, the nails were painted red, and her toenails too. And she had, you know, she had blush or rouge. I guess that's an old term, isn't it? Rouge. But she had color on her cheeks and color on her lips too. That was my model doll. That was my Revlon replacement doll. And I do remember that even though I asked for and really, 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 really wanted a Revlon doll, I can't even remember what they look like anymore, but I remember my model doll. And I did enjoy that doll. I played with her forever. I hung on to her into my adult years, but I don't know what happened to her. I think my mother had her, and then I lost track of it. But I was very happy with that doll, and I made do with it, because that is what my parents could afford at the time. And I didn't know that then, but I know that now. You know, the Revlon doll was just too expensive for them, and they did what they could and got me what I wanted with a little tweaking to it in a way, okay? So, but I wasn't a spoiled brat at that time. I didn't say, no, I want a Revlon doll, I want a Revlon doll. You know, like some kids do. Nah, I played with what I got. Okay, enough on that doll. I did like that doll a lot though. Okay. Hey, do you remember Tinsel on the Christmas trees? William and I were talking about that just the other day, and I don't even think they make it anymore. I seem to remember that they came out several years ago saying that it was hazardous, you know, hazardous to your health or hazardous to your environment or just plain hazardous, whatever. But I used to love hanging that tinsel on the Christmas tree and seeing how it sparkled all over, but those days are gone. Last one I have on my list is beech nut chewing gum. Now, I was never a big fan of that type of gum. I remember it, but all I remember, I don't know if they had different flavors of the gum or not. I remember clove flavored beech nut chewing gum. And I tried that maybe one time and it's like, man, that was it. And I never tried another type of beech nut gum at all. But do they even still make it? I don't know. Anyway, that was my list of Do You Remembers. Do you have anything to add to that list? Anything else you want to talk about? I'm sure there are other remembrances, other memories out there from your, growing up time, your past, things that you enjoyed as you were growing up. So feel free to go ahead and share that in the comments, okay? And like I said, if you haven't, as I said in past videos, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit the Please hit the subscribe button below, and also click on that bell, and you'll be notified of upcoming videos. Okay? Love to have you aboard. But for now, I hope you're all having a great day out there, and it's time for me to go. Take care. I'll be talking to you again real soon. But bye for now.